Yeah.
We gotta love technology and learning it, and you just gotta be patient with yourself
Yeah.
and continuously try and learn because we're not great with technology, but
I mean, this looks amazing, so I'm proud of y'all.
we
We
appreciate
appreciate
that.
you.
Yeah.
But Joanna was talking about how she was in nightlife.
No, I went past that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, she did, but she did,
So
but
Joanne.
I know where I went. I know where I
I'm
was.
talking about nightlife
Oh, okay, Brandon wants to talk about
All right, you talk about nightlife.
because Joanna was talking about it, and
I want you
this
to.
is a relationship podcast. You know what I'm saying? So like, how long did you work at the club?
I worked at the club for 4 years, all through college.
Okay.
And how were some of the were you single or dating while you worked at the club?
Oh, I was single.
You were single.
Yeah.
Why? Because it wasn't good for your relationship.
Well, I had a relationship in high school and he was like my high
Hmm.
school sweetheart. And then when I went to college, things started to shift because I
Mhm.
wanted to live my college lifestyle.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And he was like living all the way across the state. And yeah, I mean, back then I was a mess. So I was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, I never really felt like he was going to be the person for me. So
Hmm.
that's why I went for that. But yeah, I was single during that time.
So how do you think working at the club affected some of those relationships that you created there?
That I created in the club.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is
And do
about
you still have any? That doesn't have to be like just sexual
no,
relationships,
yeah.
but like, and do you still have any of those relationships, or was it all just superficial because of the environment you were
Well, the thing about this, and I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but I feel
in?
like I feel like everywhere I went, like I always craved deeper connection. So I just always created that space for myself, even back then when I didn't have a deeper connection to myself.
Hmm.
But I did have like I had good friendships. Like I had a friend that I worked with all those 4 years, and I loved her so much. And like we still reach out here and there. She reaches out more than I do,
Mhm,
unfortunately, because I'm just so freaking busy.
mhm,
But yeah, I still have that connection with her. And there were, I mean, I noticed that there was a lot of like superficial stuff happening, but I just wasn't involved in those things. I
mhm,
honestly, most of the time, just went to work, got out, and made my money, and that's it, you know? Um, I didn't really feel as like inclined to hang out with everyone outside of just the work
mhm.
environment,
Hmm.
just like my one girlfriend, you know? Yeah.
You got any questions?
So, obviously in that space, because we're in it now. We understand obviously how, at least on our end, there's sometimes a little bit of temptation regarding this. From your side, obviously, as a woman, I think we've had a discussion before where we feel like when girls see guys in the club, it's a different perspective from what we see it as.
Mm,
Like y'all are less inclined to want to engage with men at that point. So
mm-hmm.
talk to me a little bit about that. Like the things that you would see there, would those things make you a little bit more inclined to maybe want to talk to or pursue somebody, or you're like, yeah, nah, this I want to get away from that.
Yeah, I actually, it's so funny because, like I said, my brain, like thinking back to those days, I feel like I live a completely different
Yeah.
lifestyle now. But I feel like back in those days, like the, when it came to like the men that were
Hmm.
there, I never felt inclined to be connected to them.
Yeah.
I never really did, or to be intimate with any of the men that I worked with.
Yeah.
And even like people that would come to the tables and stuff, I just didn't really feel
Hmm.
like I wanted to. It didn't, I don't know. I just never got involved in that way.
None of it really floated your boat or anything
Yeah,
like
it
that.
didn't. Yeah. I mean, and back in those days, I mean, I was more probably interested in like fraternity guys in college, right?
Oh,
I was
okay.
probably
I was
like,
never in a frat.
yeah, I was like, yeah, you were. Yeah, right.
I was in a fake
He
frat.
was in a anti frat and
Anti.
anti hero,
Wait, you
like
were
heroes and anti-heroes.
what is?
Whoa, whoa,
Just kidding. Just
whoa, whoa! Don't disrespect me. I'm older than that crowd.
Are
Okay.
you? What year did you graduate?
There, go ahead.
I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
how to share this publicly. 2016.
2016. Yeah, I would graduate in 2018.
I'm
Yeah.
a little old.
Yeah, you are
Yeah,
old.
yeah, no, no. Back in that time, which yeah, college was thank God for growth.
Yeah.
Thank
It
God
was
for growth
yeah.
and
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
But no, I went to a state college, got my AA first, which I probably should have stayed there because that's where I developed my good habits. And I came to USF
Yeah.
because my best friend was there, and that's where I developed all my bad habits.
Same.
But they were in SIGEP, and then everybody dropped and created SIGX.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So SIGX isn't dead, if you guys were wondering.
yeah.
We're still thriving. Baby.
Yeah, I remember when SIGEP, when the whole SIGEP thing happened, it was during my year.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then it created SIGX. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was 2 years after.
Yeah.
It sounds like a scandal.
It's just a fake fraternity. We just had fun, and
Yeah, they did all the fraternity stuff without the rules.
without the rules. So just
Yeah.
imagine a whole
Yeah.
bunch of
Yeah.
young,
Just
dumb, and full of
on the loose,
bad decisions,
terrorizing
children.
women.
Yeah.
Getting started. So, but yeah, I think we have the live stream figured out, so that's a good thing.
Cool. I'm curious though.
And I can see
I have a
questions
question.
here if they are in there. You have questions?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're not allowed to answer or ask questions.
Oh,
Oh, actually,
you say I can ask questions, so
it's International Women's Month, so
Women are allowed to ask questions this month.
women are allowed to ask questions this month.
That's fucked up.
Fellas, whether you give them an answer or not is up to you. I'm just kidding.
You don't want to get my feminine all raged up over here. You know what I mean?
We might.
Oh, okay. Is that gonna?
So your
We're
question.
So my question to you was, why did you ask me that question? How does it reflect to you and your relationships inside of the club?
Jesus.
You gotta be careful what you open with her, because anytime I answer or ask her a question, whoa,
Yeah.
why are you thinking like that?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, and it's like, oh my god.
Now I got to think a little deeper.
So the reason why I wanted to ask the question, because we had a bottle server on before, and kind of we had a similar discussion. So I wanted to see kind of what your perspective on that was, kind of what your thought process was on that. Me personally, how do I say this? Um, I'm glad that I got pulled into this when I did and not earlier. Is what is what I'll say.
Why?
Why? Yeah, why?
Would you have made the choices that I had made?
Brandon.
Does everyone know the choices you've made?
I probably would have made worse choices.
I've been working at the same club for 5 years, so
yeah.
in that time, I've been in 2 relationships, so that and those were only about 2 years at the time. So the other 2 years of the time, 2.5,
Yeah.
I was single.
Boy,
So.
it was running up wilt numbers.
So when you ask a woman if they're interested in a man at the club, that's why we're not.
First of all, I haven't had sex in almost 6 months.
Whoa! Oh wait.
Oh shit.
Hey man, shout out to you. Celibacy. Drake actually just dropped a song called Celibacy.
Hey.
I feel like me and Drake are always on the same wavelength. And here's why.
Yeah, talk to me.
Ever since his first album, which is Take Care, that came out.
Well, Take Care was not his first album, but go ahead.
Well, first big album.
Okay, all right,
first big album.
Yes. Just want to make sure
that's
we're
when
being
he was first big album, because everybody still knew him as the Degrassi wheelchair kid at the time until Take Care happened.
Yeah,
and that was at the same time when my very first relationship ended, the one in high school.
Yeah.
So Marvin's Room,
binging Marvin's Room in his corner.
I could sing that song fully back then.
So why are you excited that you are not excited, but why are you happy that you started later and not earlier?
So if I had started working at the club when I was 23, 24 years old, I was a lot less disciplined at that time. When me and Brandon and I sold insurance together, we were both in some interesting interactions and relationships, which we talked about a lot about on episode 4. So my decision making at that point hadn't quite improved from those. I was just not in the space to make those decisions. So what I always tell people is that, especially when they're in a relationship, you don't know how faithful you are until your faithfulness is tested. So obviously in my head, I'm doing better, but I also know that I'm not in an environment where it's going to be testing me. So if I was transitioning from there to that environment of this nightlife out there in the streets with all the interesting characters that we get to run into. I could certainly have seen myself probably starting a certain type of lifestyle that I probably, makes it a little bit tough to get out of. That I probably would enjoy a little bit too much. Um, but yeah, so I'm glad now because my mindset now is that I'm, away from that. I'm currently in a relationship, so that obviously that
Hey.
makes that easier to
Yeah.
stay away from that.
There's still temptation though.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
always, yeah.
I mean, for men, like it's in your biological nature to see women in whatever ways y'all see women,
I
know?
just
Like
close my eyes.
you guys love women. Like,
Yeah.
you see a hot woman, you're gonna look at her, It's just it's the way your biology works.
Mhm.
So I can only imagine what you're coming across on a day-to-day basis, working not a day, but on a weekend basis,
Yeah.
working there and being in a relationship and like how much that's strengthening your ability to stay devoted to your relationship rather than to let temptation take over.
Yeah. When I decide to get married, I have to quit. So
I'm gonna have to quit.
Is that a rule in your
that
relationship?
it's a
You
rule
don't
that
have
I
to.
have
You
to
don't.
make.
You don't
Yay.
have to quit. You just could be like the owner of something else.
Yeah,
So you don't have to be there all the
so I
time.
don't
You
have
could
to
be
be
the
there all
real
the
deal
time.
podcast taking off and you don't need to work there.
There we go. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, we got two people watching it live,
There we go, baby.
and one
Hey.
Yeah.
is Cleon. So
I was just here to check to make sure it was up.
Well, yeah,
The other
nah.
one is me. I'm just kidding.
it might. Well, it took us also like 20 minutes to figure it out.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
technology is crazy.
Yeah.
But on that note, this reminds me since we're kind of on the note of celibacy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what is the definition of celibacy?
Okay.
Is that just no sex or no sexual anything? Like what is the full
It's
definition?
no sexual anything,
Yeah,
man.
you sure?
I feel like
think-
celibacy is
What's the
whatever.
2025 definition? Yeah, I like where you're going.
I feel like it's
2025.
whatever you want it to be. You create your own rules. Who creates rules for you? It's your intention, but what's your intention behind celibacy?
To not have sex,
Why?
so I don't put my thing in other women that I don't have intentions of marrying,
Okay, there you go. Because you're committed to.
or so that I don't get blinded by
Mhm.
my head
Yeah.
and the other head before I know in my heart that I actually want to be with this person.
There you go. So that's your
Because
intention.
what I realized is that's what I do. I do what I thought women did, which is get attached after I have sex with them.
Oh.
Brandon's a super lover boy.
Yeah,
But
I
then-
know
but
that.
then-
He is
then
a
I
lover
realized,
boy.
yeah. So on the topic of celibacy, it's funny. We kind of had this conversation months ago, before you got into your relationship, and we're having a conversation and we're talking about sex.
Mhm.
And you were taking the celibacy route. You're like, yeah, I'm just like not doing that with anybody. It's kind of wait and not
Mhm.
have sex.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just don't know. I feel like you could have like a casual hookup
Mhm.
on a regular basis, and it'd be okay. But
Right.
I was still doing the work, always doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, it's very interesting that you had said that, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't know. You couldn't. And I'm like, well, maybe you can. And then it started happening, and working in the club and not sleeping around and
Mhm.
not drinking
Yeah.
is two of the craziest things that
I can
Yeah.
imagine.
yeah,
You're not even getting
two
your
of the-
money's worth.
two of the craziest things that be in that environment. And I tell you what, like as a guy who is short and good looking, it's I don't have a hard time. Like I would be real. Like, I don't have a hard
Okay,
time.
but I'm curious because I'm a little confused
But-
what you were saying about our conversation, and then I said that, and then
Yeah.
what happened?
It's
It-
just my
it-
brain starts to go places.
Did it just like spark something in you to
Yeah.
like you started to
Why-
question?
Yeah, I started remembering that conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like not as hard as you think it is.
To be celibate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really not.
Yeah. I was celibate
So
for
why did you decide to do it? Because I don't know, maybe that conversation kind of helped me think
Mm.
like, oh, I could do it, you know.
Hey, I inspired
Yeah,
you.
your testimony, you know, sharing your own story and your testimony,
Mhm.
even in your casual everyday conversation, you know, you never know how it can
Yeah.
affect somebody else's life. And
No, that's
I'm
epic.
not going to give you all the kudos on that,
But some kudos, at least
but
like
some, you know, I
five.
think like why did you go into that
Yeah.
space?
Well, thank
Because
you.
didn't we get out of, I think we got out of a relationship kind of similar time, because that's how the conversation started, because like we were both out of one relatively similar, or
Probably.
we were talking about exes,
Yeah.
and that's where the kind of the conversation. So what led you to go into that?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say thank you for sharing because I feel honored that I was able to be a part of that for you. But for me, I mean, it was just like after my last relationship, I kind of was seeing this one guy for like a month, and it was like this thing, but it was like very lustful and like sexual. Best sex of my life at that time. So I didn't,
Shout
see.
out to that guy.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't see it as a bad thing, but there were some things that were missing that I didn't figure till later. But anyways, so I was seeing this guy for like a month, and then things kept happening where like I
Mhm.
saw that guy for a month and then my ex came back into my life and then we tried making it happen again and he was like,
Hmm.
I'm so committed to you, like let's go, like, and I
Mhm.
was like, oh my gosh, I'm finally ready to commit to you, like yeah, I can see my future with you. And then once
Mhm.
I started to
Hmm.
like be open to that, he kind of like backed off and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like so much is happening right now with men.
Yeah.
And like
That's another conversation. Yeah, that's another
yeah, we'll get into
conversation.
that. But I like after that, I went to Costa Rica and I was in Costa
Mhm.
Rica for a month and just like healing and working on like just releasing that relationship. And then I had like this one night stand with a Costa Rican dude that was like amazing. And after that, I was like, all right, that was great. I'm open, just so you know, I'll share
Mhm.
anything.
It's
Like,
a
I,
hot it's a hot
We
podcast.
yeah,
appreciate it.
Humble, open,
Yeah.
and transparent.
yeah, I
Just
forgot to
like
ask because I'm just like so open about things. I
We're,
don't care.
yeah, no,
we're
yeah,
with you.
Okay,
Whatever
cool.
yeah.
wherever you want to go. Let's go.
So I mean, people love that, right? They
Mhm.
love like the raw stuff,
Or they
but
hate it, but who cares?
exactly the real deal people
The
will
real
get it.
Right,
it
right,
Yeah,
is
right,
called the
right.
real deal.
yeah, real deal people. But after that, I just like it kind of just naturally happened where I was
Mhm.
like, I really want to go in a season of healing my relationship wounds with men.
Mhm.
And I just deeply committed to that. And I was like, it just started to shift inside of me the deeper that I went within myself
Mhm.
and like found my own self love and my own connection to like myself in a deeper way. Cause that breakup like broke me,
Mhm.
but it broke me wide open. Like it
Mhm.
shattered my heart, but it shattered my heart wide open to a deeper understanding of me. And so during that time, I was like, I really honor my body. Like, I really love my body. I honor my body. I honor my womb space. Like, I don't just want anybody in here.
Mhm.
I don't think that that's a bad thing, but that season of my life is just over. And I didn't know that what was happening in the most wildest way was that I was preparing for my current partner now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's how I started to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that that was what was happening, but it's like I had that same intention of like,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't see this person as somebody that I can truly be with, like for a while or possibly even marry, then
Mm-hmm.
what's the point of having that just for temporary pleasure? I can just please myself way better than
Mm-hmm.
just a one night stand,
No, that's why I
honestly.
say I got two hands.
Yeah, like honestly, like self pleasure for women. If you're a woman listening, like go on a self pleasure route.
Yeah,
It's
go on that route, ladies.
yeah,
I
because it
support you.
yeah, because you got to know yourself before you teach your man how to do the thing.
Stop sleeping with the men in the club that are broke.
Yeah, that are drunk and probably can't get it up. Like you gotta be with the real deal men.
not not the
No, 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 not these real, no,
we're,
not
we're
these
off the
real.
market. We're off the
oh
market.
Yeah, not these real deal men, but like the real men.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
So I want to go back real quick because Brandon, you asked a question that I want to I want to make sure we have a concrete answer on. You asked what is celibacy, and just to be clear on that, celibacy is abstaining from sexual activity, all of it.
Sexual activity. Okay.
Yeah, but guess what? Rules are meant to be broken. You
But
create your own rule.
see, thumbs up.
Yeah, right.
Um, sexual activity.
Sexual activity.
So self pleasure is technically breaking celibacy by that.
Well, it depends on what you're doing with self pleasure, and if you want to go, we're not. I mean, I don't know if I should go there
Yeah, I don't know.
because it's like if you're doing it to please yourself and to create a relationship with yourself, but if you're doing it in front of a screen, that's a different story.
that's that's okay.
Yeah, what about the people that do it in front of the screen?
Well, I
Is
feel
that
like
wrong?
I don't think it's okay. I think it's a really deep addiction that
Mhm.
really fucks the brain of the man, like bad, you know, and it teaches that that's what sex is, and sex is not
You mean porn or OnlyFans?
porn, and
Okay.
both,
Well, they're different.
because you're pretty much
Porn is acting.
you're
Well, some I guess you could say
you're
OnlyFans.
energetically having sex with those people,
Yeah, you just
you know.
a
And
little
so
more
then when it's time for
enthusiastic.
you to connect intimately with a woman, those things unconsciously are fucking up your ability to actually be present in your body and experience an absolutely
Mhm.
amazing sexual
So if
experience.
somebody's going to, I don't know how we're back to this conversation of self pleasure. If someone's
Mhm.
going to self pleasure, they should just use their imagination.
They should be feeling into the energy in their body and like connecting to that energy and breathing that energy and rising that energy up in their body. That is like, try it. It's amazing. It's like, I
Oh
feel
no, I know. I've done. I
it's
have
called,
you self.
it's tantra. Like
Yeah.
look up tantra
Oh,
techniques.
I've heard of
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
like
that doesn't
I just use. Yeah, yeah. Oh, she knows her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Love that.
we'll say it after the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, her name starts with A and ends with A.
no idea.
You know when you see her.
Well, you got to tell me after the podcast, so we're not putting people on blast here.
Oh, well.
I mean, we could say it. We could just mute it.
Oh, true.
Nobody
he's
else
like,
would hear it. It would just be
he's like
us.
whispering or like writing on a board. But yeah, it's like being able to form your own intimate connection with your own sexual energy. I
Mhm.
feel like that is the most powerful thing a man or a woman can do, because, you know, in my experiences of having just surface level sex and now having like fucking amazing cosmic spiritual, like I can't even explain what we experience in our sexual experience.
Mhm.
And it's a lot because we're both understanding the energy in our own bodies, bringing that into the connection, not just fucking and like humping each other
Right.
as like a,
So
like masturbating with another body, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Which yeah, that's more of a lust thing. But to touch on that too, like I have experienced that with, an ex.
yeah.
Um, but just because we did that, like, that relationship still ended up with me going to jail. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, sexual chemistry is something, and if you're tapping in, I believe, you know, in a lot of spiritual stuff, if you're tapping in on a
Mm-hmm.
soul level, because sexual energy is, I mean, that's what I believe, like the closest
Mm-hmm.
we will ever experience, like
Oh no,
soul.
it was a like souls touching,
Yeah, exactly. But that's like what we were talking about earlier with
and then
embodiments,
it
like,
was handcuffs touching me a year later.
Oh, I thought you meant. All
like,
right. Go
yeah, I thought he meant too. I was like, ooh, y'all
ahead.
went there. That's cool.
Oh
But
wait, what?
nothing.
We're
We
on.
get it. Yeah, we
Yeah,
get
okay.
it. But I mean, that's like soul level connection, but then the traumas can be getting in the way and creating the other
Making it
experience.
even better,
Yeah. The
I guess.
traumas can make it, I mean, where you guys aren't compatible. So sexually and energetically and probably on a soul level you were compatible, but because you weren't probably aware of your traumas, that toxicity was then,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
We went
Yeah.
100%. But like I always say, thank God for growth. Thank
Thank
God
God for
for growth.
her for reflecting that to you. 'Cause I'm sure, what did you learn in that?
Well, I don't drink alcohol anymore.
That's good. So thank you.
Yeah. So, a lot of good things came from that, I haven't drank alcohol since.
And you probably started this because you weren't drinking alcohol.
This actually was an idea before then. And then,
But yeah.
it was a lot of dark stuff going on in that 3 months until I met the next ex, which was, she was there. We had a great relationship, ended on good terms. And she served her purpose in life, which I think that's important to realize. Like when people come into your life, like what are they here to
Yeah.
teach you? Like what is
A
their
100%.
their mission for your life? Like why are they in your life? And I always look back on that one, and I try to work it out after the fact as well. And just is dead.
Mhm.
It's expired relationship, and it is what it is. But you just look back and it's like, okay, well, it was if you ever been arrested and you never thought you'd be arrested, like that's just one thing to go through at a time. But at that time, there was like another thing going on, some baby mama drama, some crazy, some crazy stuff going on in the workplace.
Brandon's a wild boy, man.
I was a wild.
Brandon.
We are not going to lie. I was a very wild boy.
But
So
he had to learn through his wildness so he can be a
yeah,
man now.
eventually,
Absolutely.
yeah, you got to grow through some
Especially
things,
men.
and
Y'all
yeah,
have to go
that's
through
that's
it.
what I had to do. And I just look back on that, and she was just there to literally make sure I was sane, and that was her purpose. And after that, do a little bit more growth and learning, and figure that I don't like confrontation as much. I'm a very mellow guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So I never fought. I never tried to fight. Obviously, probably because there was a lot of fights in the previous one before that. But I think it's important to look back on those relationships and see what they served in your life. And I know we talked about your last one before this, before what we allowed to say his current name?
Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver. Yeah, you said that. Okay. So before Oliver, I just didn't know if we were saying names for him. But yeah, before Oliver, yeah, I remember that actually we had chatted maybe, like a year ago, whatever, a while ago when that was going on. And you talked about, he kind of came back, left, came back and left. How did you finally let go of it? Like, what kind of work did you do to let go of that? And if somebody else is going through something like that, what are your words of wisdom to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the work was sitting with myself and being with myself and asking myself what part of me keeps attracting men that are not ready to fully commit,
Hmm.
right? And
Mm,
that part of me was the little girl who never felt like her father was there for her or
mm-hmm.
like ever had a masculine presence to be there for her. And so what happened as a little girl, I started to create this, I call it the Prince Charming frequency, where I was like, I need a Prince Charming to come and save me because I don't have my father, because I don't have a masculine figure in my life. And then
Hmm.
as a little girl, I mean, you're bombarded with like Disney movies, right? About a
Yeah,
Prince Charming
yeah,
coming to
yeah.
save you. So there's actually, I see this in a lot of women
Mm-hmm.
unconsciously. They're waiting for that Prince Charming to come and save them. And if you keep waiting for somebody to come and save you,
Hmm.
you're only going to attract people that are not going to do that. You're going to attract people that like are avoidant and people that are not fully ready to meet you because no one can save you besides yourself. You
I
know what
think
I
the
mean?
Cheetah Girls made a song about that.
Did they?
Yeah,
I love the
yeah,
Cheetah Girls,
yeah,
but I don't
yeah. You
remember.
know, they said something like, "I don't want to be like Cinderella,
Oh
waiting
yeah,
for somebody
yeah,
to." Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
I do
yeah, yeah.
remember that. That's funny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But my invitation for anyone moving through that is like spend time with yourself, do the deep work and heal like your relationship wounds from your past. Understand like how your family dynamics, like your mom
Mhm,
and your dad and how they
Mm-hmm.
related, how does that affect your dynamics relationship wise? Because that's what you know, that's what you experience. So you're probably going to behave the same exact way that your family did,
Mm-hmm.
and also your relationship to your father. What is that? A lot of
mhm,
women don't have healthy relationship with their father, so they're constantly
Daddy issues.
yeah, they're constantly searching for a
But
man.
guys can have daddy issues too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They're constantly searching for a man to come and save them, and it's just never going to happen. You know, you have to save yourself, and when you do and you like heal those parts, and like I mean, we can go really deep because the stuff that I went into was really intense. Like I went to Costa Rica and I was in a tree house for 3 weeks all by myself, just doing deep work, having crazy dreams around like just releasing so much around like past partnerships and ways that I allowed men to treat me in my life.
mhm,
um I like did so much work around that. But yeah, my invitation is to just spend time with yourself, get to know yourself. That's why I do embodiment. Like if
mhm,
I didn't have the tools and the skills to take myself to that depth and understand why I kept attracting somebody that wasn't committed, I would have just seen myself as a victim and be like, oh, it's just, I just don't have any luck. And then I would have kept attracting men that wouldn't be able to commit to me. And so from shifting that, we're all energy. I shifted that frequency inside of me and I came to my own worthiness that regardless of a man in my life or not, I'm already whole. I'm already complete. Like I'm already a child
Mm-hmm.
of God as I am. Like I don't need anyone to fulfill anything. When I got to that state of embodiment, like I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm not even looking for anything. I feel so good in my own
Mm-hmm.
essence that like I know it's inevitable for me to attract an amazing man. Like I just knew that and felt that. I just wasn't, I let it go. I was like, I don't really need it right now.
mhm,
And then my current partner, I mean, he and I were friends for like 6 months before we actually started to like, before I started to open up to him. But he was like, he was always there and persistent, but not in a creepy way. And I really loved that. It was
mhm,
like, wanting to keep the connection going because he felt something. But in the beginning stages of us connecting, I was like, I wasn't even attracted to him. Like, I was like,
mhm,
I don't
Mm-hmm.
even, like, I don't see anything here. But because I wasn't open for a man that felt safe. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
when we were first starting to talk, I was like, honestly, I feel that if like I let you into my life, you're going to love me so much, and that scares me because I'm not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I
Mhm.
had to also work through that part of myself that didn't feel worthy of a man that would absolutely love me so much like he does. And so I had to work through a lot of, it's all within, everything in your external is just a reflection of the internal. So doing the deep work, going deep within yourself, asking yourself the deep questions, moving through those emotions. We need support, that's why I'm here.
Mhm.
Right? Embodiment practices to move through those things, release the shit that you keep, the energy of why you keep attracting that, and then you become an energetic match for what you actually know to be true, what you actually feel inside that you desire in a
Mhm.
partnership. So does that answer your question?
It does. I already forget that I had a question. We were just going deep into the embodiment stuff, but yeah, it makes sense, and we talk about it all the time. Um, Everything that you see in your childhood, affects how you act today.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
people are like pissed off at you or whatever, that's really not a reflection of you or the kind of person you are. That's more a reflection of them and how they were raised. And one of the my favorite things that Cleon always says is you either accept or reject what you saw as you
Mhm.
were a child. And
Yeah,
I think that is super good, especially when we're talking about the movie, the It Ends With Us movie, how the domestic violence stuff.
I haven't seen that movie.
Oh well, you watched it. Did you watch the Gabby Petito?
No, I'm like not connected. I literally live like if I
You
lived in
want
a
to?
forest.
Well, I am a
I'm not connected to like television and stuff.
I'm a
But I mean, I'd
domestic
love to
violence
know.
advocate, so I gotta watch.
Hold on, a domestic violence advocate.
Wait, you advocate domestic? No, that's, you probably didn't say that right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I just
Heal,
want to
Domestic.
make sure you say it right.
yeah, because for the listeners, this is important. Healing domestic
Just want to make sure they
violence.
know what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah. We know, but they might not.
I advocate for people to not do that.
Yeah,
What's the word? They had those walks. What is it? Well, what's the proper term?
I don't know. And
You know what I mean? No, I don't know.
Brandon does not like domestic
Okay.
violence. Anti-domestic
yeah,
I
there
violence.
we go.
advocate for victims of domestic violence. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Advocate for
Okay.
the victims of
Okay.
domestic violence.
Yeah.
So those two, that movie and that is an actual documentary where the chick actually gets murdered by her boyfriend. Yeah, you need to go watch that.
I feel like I do need to watch
You
that.
need to go watch that.
Also, idea. If you're so
Uh-oh.
passionate about domestic violence and stuff, what if you had your people start donating to the show and donate to a good cause?
What people?
People that,
Oh, the people that listen.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the Patreon. I got to redo the Patreon. But yeah, I mean, if
it's just a little
there's
nugget. Just,
Yeah.
people want to give to a good cause. I would give to a good
we're
cause like
starting
that
a
too.
nonprofit here.
Heck yeah.
EIN's coming. It's not a nonprofit for that. It's actually a nonprofit for children
Mm.
in fatherless homes. So
Oh yeah, I
yeah,
remember that. I
yeah.
remember.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
the
cool.
EIN's coming in, and yeah, that's the first thing. But yeah,
I
I
have a
don't know
question
any other ones that are around here.
Yes, ma'am.
about your relationship.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into it live.
We're talking about relationships here,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
are you comfortable sharing?
I'm good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
good luck.
what is your favorite part? Actually, what have you learned about yourself in your current relationship?
Ooh. Uh, I've learned that I'm a talker and I've always been good at talking. So talking is a skill for me. The problem with that is that I have a tendency to talk around things. So I can be asked a very direct question. And what'll happen is that when I'm asked that question, I'm a person who wants to make sure you understand what my thought process is because I've said plenty of things that got taken in a way that I didn't mean it. So
Mm,
I'll have a tendency to kind of really over and over and over explain it because I
mm,
want to make sure that you understand that what I'm saying is not a shot at you, but this is where my thought process is.
mm,
But what happens is that it she has a little bit of trouble of getting the answer that she needs from me
mm,
because of the way that I explain things.
So what has that taught you about yourself?
It I have to talk to people the way that they hear and not the way that I speak.
Interesting.
That is very interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So be more direct.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, be more direct for her. Basically, however she, because obviously people hear things in different ways. I can say I
Mm-hmm.
like you to some, or I can say I care about you, and somebody will take that as you care about me, and another person will take that as you're madly in love with me, or
Yeah.
just so I have to understand what her language is, not just love languages, but her everyday language. So
Mm.
that way, when I talk to her, whatever message I'm trying to convey is what she's hearing, but obviously in a way where I don't have to kind of do a bunch of running or, extra wording to try and get to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like more direct based on like what's gonna support how she will receive it.
Correct.
Wow.
I'm also actually, since we're talking about my problems, because I think she's watching. So,
Hey,
because she
I love this.
she sent me a text and asked about the live stream and asked me, is it only supposed to be on Brandon? I was like, I think
Oh,
the camera thing.
I don't. Yeah, I can turn the camera.
Well, I mean, no, you don't need to. It's fine. But she can hear us all, so the audio is good. So that's great.
Yay! Hey, what's her name?
Her name is Migdalia.
Magdalia. Is she
Mhm.
Hispanic?
Yes,
Hey,
Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican. I'm Cuban, so.
Oh, Jesus.
PTSD.
Yeah,
Someone get me out of
yeah,
here.
I didn't learn the first time. So
Someone
yeah,
get me out of here.
You're talking about your problems.
yes. So my problems, allegedly, I'm not very affectionate, and maybe a little bit too practical.
Mm.
So number one, because although I did come from a very loving home, I promise you I did. Like but you wouldn't know it by the way that I don't care for any sort of cuddling or any sort of like physical embracing or anything like that.
Mm.
So obviously that's not something that she's a fan of,
Yeah.
very much of. And also words of affirmation. As good of a talker as I am, she, like I said, there's sometimes where once again she's just not getting everything that she needs from me in terms of what I'm explaining to make her feel good. I understand that women need things, obviously, to hear things to
Yes.
make them feel better. And so I get that, and I've always understood that, and I'm really good at that. For and I'm before I got into my relationship, I want to preface that I was very good at making girls feel very good with words, before I was in a relationship. So when I was out there and single, I could just talk because I can talk freely because
Yeah.
there's no real weight behind whatever words that I'm saying. And I'm really good off the top. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to just say whatever, but now it means something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever I say has to be exactly what it is, because obviously now that's something that you should be able to take to the bank, because that's what I'm talking. I'm not just here having fun
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
So working on it, work in progress.
It seems like what's missing is just you being deeply connected to your heart rather than just your mind.
Yeah.
She wants to feel your heart.
We did that for you. I put the camera on.
That's
Yeah.
what women want to feel the man's heart,
Mhm.
right? And so as the feminine, our gift is to be able to bring a man into his heart
Mhm.
too. So when a woman is embodied in herself and she has that confidence in herself, she can support a man and being like, "Hey baby, you're way too much in your head. Let's
Mhm.
drop in a little bit. Let's
Mhm.
drop into your heart. How do you feel right now? Let's talk about your feelings. Let's talk about your emotions." And I feel like your connection to your heart is going to allow you to want to be more affectionate and to
Right.
want to be more loving. So
Mhm.
it's normal. Unfortunately, nowadays, I believe that men are so much more disconnected from their hearts
Yeah.
because of how much they've been programmed, and even women to be in their minds all the time. But
So let's talk about that a little bit, right?
yeah,
Because
let's get deep.
yeah, let's, because what a common complaint among men is, and I would love to get your feedback
Yeah.
on this. What a
I'm
common
just being the
complaint is,
cameraman.
yeah, appreciate you, Brandon. What a common complaint among men is that when they do open up to their woman, they don't
Mm,
feel heard or seen and things of that nature.
mm,
Because what happens is that if I tell you about a problem that I have, let's say, especially with you, you take that as a time to now be angry at me
mm,
instead of trying to hearing,
mm.
and trying to fix what it is.
And
So,
then we shut up,
and
and
then we
then
shut up. It's
No.
like that saying goes:
Yeah.
if we have, if you're mad at me, I have to fix it. If I'm mad at you, you get mad at me for being mad at you, and then I still have to fix it.
Yeah. There's this thing, this beautiful skill called authentic relating. And it's
Mhm.
like when one person knows themselves and understands that if somebody is sharing something, it does not have anything to do with them.
Mhm.
And I mean, it might, but if somebody's sharing a trigger, can you hold space for that trigger without taking it personal?
Yeah.
And then shift the energy to me and say, hey, I'm actually feeling, based on what you're sharing, this is making me feel this way. And I know it probably has nothing to do with you, but it is triggering me. Let's
Hmm.
talk about this together.
Yeah.
Let's go back into being a team. But the problem is that most women, unfortunately, which is why I do the work that I do,
Hmm.
most women are not aware of why they're being triggered. And so then they're projecting right out to the man. And so if a man is coming to her to share his heart
Hmm.
and she doesn't know how to hold space for that because she doesn't know how to hold space for her own heart just
Hmm.
yet, she's going to see it as an attack and then project back out.
Yeah.
And so it's important to have clear communication, but it's important for both parties to be doing the deeper work within themselves so they understand their emotions to then be able to bring it together as a team and not argue, but instead like see each other in that situation. So,
Hmm.
for an example, I recently got triggered in my relationship because there's some things showing up that are
Hmm.
actually of my own fears showing up, right? Like
Right.
he's taking his time to grow into his masculine and to like be really committed to his purpose. And he has a purpose and he is committed, but it's not like the picture of what I want it to be. And
Hmm.
that's where my like conditioning comes in. And in my last relationship, I spent 3.5 years waiting for somebody to actually create something in their life, and they
Yeah.
didn't.
Right.
As a man, like he just wasn't ready, it
Hmm.
wasn't my fault or his fault. He just wasn't ready, but it
Hmm.
like made me feel unsafe. And I
Hmm.
don't like that. I value a man being committed to his purpose and his mission, right? So like recently I experienced a trigger and I was just like overloaded with emotions and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I can understand that this has nothing to do with him. This is because I have an inability to trust men because of my last relationship and because my father wasn't in my life and because of the past masculine experiences that I've had.
Right.
So even though I want to project this onto him, and have an emotional outburst, I can sit with it and communicate from that place of like, hey, babe, I'm sorry that I'm acting this way right now. The reason why I'm acting this way is because there's old triggers showing up and it's really fucking uncomfortable. And I know I have to meet these parts of myself so that I'm not
Mhm.
bringing it into this dynamic.
Hmm.
Right. So my ability to see that then allows me to communicate it better. And so I feel like that's important for a man to also be able to understand
Right.
himself, to then communicate it to his woman from a place of like, I'm not attacking you. I love you. However, this is triggering me and we need to shift this in our relationship. Let's come together as a team, right? So
Mhm.
my last point with that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
I recommend for your relationship
Talk to me.
weekly check-ins,
Weekly check-ins.
asking each other every week. My partner and I do it on Sundays. It's like we go to the park or we just have like a date experience. You can make it really fun and just like, hey, what did you notice in this past week that made you upset
Hmm.
that maybe we need to clear out? Oh, this made me upset because of this. Is okay, cool. How can we work on this together? Okay, this made me feel a little bit icky. Okay, what went well in our relationship this
Hmm.
week? How can we celebrate that? Right. So like asking each other those questions because sometimes in your everyday life you're so like scattered doing things, especially if you're in your head a lot.
Hmm.
There's work, there's this, we have so many responsibilities, and then that intimacy starts to like fall apart. And so can you meet on a week to week basis to diffuse any tension between the relationship so that then you can continue to come into a team experience? Does
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah.
And,
Nice
and to
little.
communicate
And
better.
to
Yeah.
communicate better, yeah, it needs to be a priority.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like a lot of times is
I just want Ian.
some
did you
it,
did
it
you receive that? Like did
I'm,
that
I'm
that
I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
did you receive it?
Did I receive? Yes.
I
Yeah.
need you to let
Close
it
your eyes, take a deep breath, connect to your damn heart.
Connect to
Con-
your heart.
Connect to your goddamn heart over
we didn't
here.
we didn't even do a breathing no.
I wanted to
Uh,
before, but then I was like, no, I feel good. We're good.
we're already rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Um I'll forgive you for saying GD as well. But
For
that's you.
saying what?
It's okay.
What did I
I'll
say?
forgive you.
We'll have to
It's all
we'll have
right.
to bleep out
You
the
were in the
explicits.
moment. It's okay.
What did I say?
You're it's okay.
Gosh darn.
Yeah, GD.
Oh,
But when listen,
my bad.
yeah, you're being you. It's like it's not anything wrong. You're
God loves me
yeah,
anyways.
you're your own individual.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't say that. That's okay. But we'll be all right.
You want to fight?
Oh,
I'm kidding.
no, I don't think I can take that.
I'm just kidding.
I've already had to throw hands with one Cuban woman. I
Oh
don't want
my
to do it. I'm just kidding. I'm
God.
kidding. I'm kidding.
I would never. I would never. I would
Cuban
never.
women scared. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Listen, conscious women or conscious Cuban women. That's where
But
it's at.
there, women, I guess men can say things, and it's not always what they mean. If you guys are living together and your significant other says you never do the dishes, that she's not mad at you never do the dishes. There could be something underlying. So it's always important to listen to them, listen to understand instead of being understood,
Mm,
when it comes to that. And that was one thing that I learned in you know, the previous one. And it gets hard. It's difficult to communicate, especially for guys that don't like to have
They don't.
confrontation.
Yeah, yeah.
Be like,
It's
we're good, baby. You good. Do your thing. I'm going to be over
yeah,
here.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I had this question too that I wanted to ask earlier, and it could probably tie into what you said earlier, is that you're attracted to a man that has found his purpose. So he's living in his purpose.
Yeah.
Um, that's what you're committed, or you value a man that's committed to his purpose.
Yeah.
How does a man find his purpose?
Let me call my man real quick. This is what he works on.
How,
He's also a life coach. Um, I feel like a man can find his purpose by like making space and time to be with himself and ask himself, why am I here?
Mhm.
Do you really just think you're on this earth at this time and all the things that had to happen for you to be here at this moment for nothing? Like space,
Mhm.
space, space. There's so much chaos going on in our world. Men need space to be in quiet, to be in solitude, to understand those voices
Absolutely.
within, right? I feel like that's how a man
mm,
can understand his purpose. And honestly, I feel like it takes a man a while because man, my partner talks about this all the time. He works with like the four archetypes of a man. There's the lover, the magician, the king, and the warrior. And so the lover is like the romantic, passionate side of a man. The
mhm,
warrior is the one that's the protector,
Mhm.
right? Then there is the magician who loves information and wisdom and spirituality. And then there's the king, the one that has his empire built, right? That like is fully committed to that, is deeply connected to God and how God wants to move through him and for him to create that in his life. And I feel like men don't get to their king energy till later in life, just
Mhm.
because of
yeah.
all the distractions and just the immaturities and just
Mhm,
also just like how much men have been told that they're not enough or that they need to do
mhm,
this or they need to do that or they need to put this front and be this macho man and like all these toxic masculine things that are keeping men from being deeply connected and making space to be like, all right, God, how are you wanting to work through me to serve your kingdom, right?
mhm.
Like I feel like that is important, an important question for a
And
man
then
to ask.
yeah, exactly. Asking yourself that and
Yeah.
finding things that fulfill you, not just temporary.
Pleasures. Yep.
Exactly,
Yep.
which is going to the club. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you're not kidding with
Not kidding.
that.
But having sex with multiple women, like those are all temporary. Like you're gonna feel cool. You're gonna feel like your ego's on 10. Like
Yeah. Power.
I,
Oh yeah, just like
I,
when we was talking to the kids when we was
I,
walking back to the garage
like,
last
right.
night.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say any names, but
yeah,
it's like this number this week, and I'm just like,
right.
yo, hats off to you, man. I
Yeah.
I, I
Shout out
remember
to
I
you.
remember
Uh,
having those conversations with
yeah.
myself, and I needed that to feel like I was good enough or feel like I was important. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I had my own daddy issues growing up. I didn't meet my biological father till I was 20, so it's like you didn't. I never had the dad that says, you're a great son, you're
Yep.
doing all this.
Yep.
I never heard.
Yep.
I still never heard that.
Yep.
I've
Yeah.
still never heard that.
That's
So
huge.
it's like, well, I had to learn how to tell myself that, and I had to learn how to go through that.
Yeah.
And at the time during younger years, it was that's what I did. I talked about before is like
Mhm.
if my friends would be like, "Hey, this girl's hot," if I could sleep with her, then I get the validation of
Yeah.
them thinking now I'm the man. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I never had my own dad telling me that
So
I
you're
was such a
seeking
good
for
son.
it externally through other
Right.
male
So that's
figures.
how it is. So I feel
So
like
wild.
you're going to consistently not figure out what your purpose is if you're consistently letting those distractions
Yep.
into your life.
That is the biggest, I feel like the biggest hindrance in a man's life is distraction
And
and
that was gonna,
temporary
yeah,
pleasure.
you might have just answered the next question that I was gonna have. I guess the question I wanted to ask is, what are most men missing?
I feel like most men, yeah, they're missing that space to
Mm-hmm.
connect to themselves and to connect to how God wants to move through them. They're missing
Why?
that because of, yeah, what I just said, distractions. There's so many fucking
It's a
distractions.
lot.
And sometimes even being in a relationship that's not good for you is a distraction from your purpose, is a distraction from you being in that energy. And then it's also like for men to understand their archetypes, like which ones are more prominent in your life versus which ones aren't, and how can you create space to embody more of that other archetype. So let's say like Brandon, your lover, is like activated, right? Like he's a lover boy.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, what about your warrior energy? Are you somebody that's willing to fucking like protect and like go hunt and like fight? Like, are you ready to fight? You know, like, would
Yeah.
you be able to fight for your woman? Would you be able to fight for your family? Would you be able to fight for your kids?
Well, yeah, that's why I practiced self defense with
Yes,
a weapon.
that's a great
With a
put.
weapon.
That's a great with a weapon.
Yeah, yeah. I'm 5'6". I'm not getting to a. I'm not getting into a fight with anybody.
Yeah, so I
And
feel
plus,
like
this day and age, I don't know if you see it. We see it, working in the club and having a close relationship with the cops. Like this, and which is another reason why I want to do this nonprofit is because it makes a lot of sense to me growing up without knowing my father in the role that other male figures played in my life as mentors and the role that football played
yeah,
to give the kids, especially the kids in Tampa, that
Yeah,
outlet instead of resorting to all
yeah.
the violence.
Because
So
them young
if
yeah,
you
boys,
don't know
yeah,
they not fighting no more.
they're not fighting no more.
You know, it's just
So
straight
you
to
need to learn how to
yeah,
protect yourself
yeah.
and your family with by any means necessary. And
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's
that's
important.
why I practice that as well.
Yeah, my
So
partner also, his father passed when he was 16, and his father was like, never fully emotionally there for
Mhm.
him
hmm
prior to him passing. So it's
right.
like same thing. It's just like, if men do have those daddy issues, or like
Yeah,
they don't have
100%.
the masculine figure in their life, it's going to take a little bit longer for them to feel safe enough to create that empire, to be on purpose. And that's where the deep healing comes in. And another thing that men are missing is just being more connected to their hearts.
Mama Deals says
Yeah, yeah.
is messing up my
Yes,
camera
I
in
see
here.
her. I see her.
Is that your mom?
Yeah, my mom put in the
Hey.
comments. She said, "Why can't we see the other speakers? We got to figure out how it works. This is our first time."
We're gonna have it figured out
Oh,
by
I
next
love
one.
that they're
Don't
both
worry.
supporting you. That's so
Yeah,
great.
appreciate
Two
them.
of your feminine women supporting you here.
My
Yes.
dad's not even supporting me. It's
Oh, that was the wrong one. That's
Yeah, 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 yeah,
the
yeah. That's so
crazy. I
funny.
think we'll have the live figured out for sure.
Yeah, by the next
On the
time.
next one. I'm pretty sure.
We just have.
It is, well, yeah, it's just
I
been
want to be
Brandon.
able to conversate through this though.
Yeah,
So
like I said, we probably just have to put it at a
no, I think
different
I
angle.
might be able to put it on there and then use this camera here and then pull it up there and then have chat there if we need to talk in chat.
We'll figure it out.
So that'd be good.
So I'm curious.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you're very curious.
What is one distraction in your life that you feel like if you got rid of, you would feel so much better?
Mm.
Alcohol.
alcohol is not alcohol is not my distraction. I think right now is I'm spread thin between a lot of different places right now. So I work Monday through Friday at my Monday through Friday job. I come and work the club on the weekends, and then on Saturdays I also do this podcasting
Mm,
as well. I also do music as well. So I'm always either trying to do something regarded to social media content for music. I'm trying to edit episodes for the podcast. I'm trying to make sure that I have it.
mm,
So right now, I'm just in a lot of different directions where obviously that just makes it a little bit tough. But I'm doing most of this to obviously set myself up for a future,
That was the
so
mama
which I
deal.
can focus on one thing, and then just kind of hit that as hard as I can.
yeah. So what is one distraction you feel like?
I think I have too. I think I
Too
just have
many.
too much. I just got too much going on right now.
Mm,
And because obviously the issue is that when you have too much going on, you jack of all trades, master of none, right? You don't end up mastering whatever that one
yeah.
thing can be. So I think that's probably what my issue is. Just too much
Yeah.
at the same time that I'm trying to focus on day to day.
Too much external,
Too much
but
external.
not internal.
No, okay, yeah, that's the yeah, because we talk about like obviously things that we do to that we try to do to fulfill ourselves, advance ourselves, mentally, spiritually, financially, emotionally, all that
Mm-hmm.
other fun stuff. Brandon likes to talk about a lot about reading, and he talks a lot about here how I don't read,
Well,
and
it's
so
a struggle sometimes.
and yeah, and I
To make
agree
My
space.
book isn't
exactly.
as it's not this next book's not about relationships, so I find myself not reading every single day because I'm
Mhm.
not. It's about negotiation,
Right.
which is also intriguing, but
Yeah, so I'm working
almost done
working
with
on
that one.
that, and obviously trying to make the time for those things to for
hmm
this stuff for myself development,
Yeah.
really.
I feel like another thing that men are missing is community with other men that
Yes,
are
big thing.
like-minded, that are growth-minded, that are headed down a path that
Mm-hmm.
are, actually doing good things for themselves and like
Yeah, we
can
literally
talk,
talk about that
yeah, can talk
multiple
about
times. Yeah.
distractions and temptations and stuff,
Yeah.
but be able to have a safe space to commune with each other. So, I think that's something that men are missing.
So yeah, where
Yeah.
I find my community is because you know, I'm like I don't really go out and try and connect with a lot of other different people all the time, but is through Kodawari, the one of the guys there, Fletch actually did like a men's mobility workshop. So it was
Mm,
all men. So and then
nice.
we did the Nordic sauna. So hot, then cold plunge, hot, cold plunge.
With all
So
men
yeah,
and
yeah. So all
camaraderie.
all men. So
So important.
just talking, and then Faith University Instagram is a Bible study that I do, a Bible study group. Or I mean, I'm participating. I
Yeah,
don't actually do it.
that's cool.
And that's every Wednesday. If you want to join that, it's like a guys fellowship.
Nice.
That Kenyon Barner, which is
Oh yeah, shout out.
yeah, Kenyon Barner, Ken John Barner, if you want to
Yeah,
pronounce it
yeah,
correctly,
yeah.
KB for short. Had posted on his story, and it's a lot of like former athletes that are typically on there. A lot of like NFL guys and college athletes, and it's run by a Pastor Floyd, who I believe works at LSU. But it's just guys, having fellowship and talk about the temptations and stuff, and that's been super helpful to
Yeah,
be a part of that kind of fellowship
absolutely.
of men as well. So if you are looking for that and you need that in your life, I would definitely recommend follow Faith University on Instagram, and they'll post the link. I'm sure anybody can join. I don't think it's just NFL and former college athletes.
That's super
That's
cool.
what it mostly is. But and then yeah, just get if you're into yoga and stuff like that, Kodawari Studios is super dope as well.
Yeah. I feel like we're all missing community because we're
Yeah,
so
you're not gonna find it at the club.
unaware. I mean, we're so like on, what'd you say?
You're not gonna find it at the club.
You're not gonna find it at the club. Not at
That's
the
not that.
club.
That's not
You
real
find your
community.
club community.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the people you party with and distract yourself more with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, but then, there's like
Yeah, I
one or two
mean,
times out of the year that I go to a club. You might come
you
across
Yeah,
it.
could
yeah,
yeah. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I have met people in the club that have given like other financial opportunities in my life. So it's like
Mhm.
it's not like just all bad people, but you need to have more than that because that's more the
Yeah.
superficial level. It's not you're just going out there to get your quick fix. It's not anything that's going to be like long lasting or
Yeah,
anything.
I love that you guys like work there and then have this podcast and talk about it. It's great.
Yeah,
It's good. I mean, it's good. Go get your release. Not everybody's as disciplined. So, go
Yeah.
get your release. So yeah, hey, come on out there. We're gonna be there. If you need help after
Mhm.
that, come see us and we'll help you out.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it also works for us because since we're not too crazy about the lifestyle, it makes it easier to work there. Because obviously, we've worked with people who love that life, and
There's people I can see. I go if I'm there 5 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
There's people
Sunday.
that are there every
I see them
day.
4 out of 5 times. I'm
It's
like,
freaking crazy.
go home.
bro, you don't like to just relax and watch some TV or something?
At that
But
point, I just feel like there's an entity attached that needs to be worked through.
Mm.
Like a really strong distraction entity.
yeah, that's what the club is good for. But I also want to title this episode "Love in the Dark" for multiple reasons. One being that that's a pretty good Adele song.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did talk about that.
Did talk about that. Other being that there's some subliminal reasoning behind that title,
Love in the dark.
which we'll talk about after the show.
After the show.
After the show is the
Whoa,
after
we got the
party.
after party.
Yeah,
But
Y'all need the Patreon for that.
yeah, yeah,
yeah, Patreon.
You want the juice?
So yeah, I'm gonna figure out Patreon. And just get lazy sometimes, and then I'm an old man, so working at the club, and I like to sleep. Then it's like I'm tired. So, but I'll figure that Patreon out because I think we signed up as a consumer and not like the
Yeah, nah,
creator.
my bad.
But what does love in the dark mean to you, Joanna? And then the next question is
Love in the dark. Well, I'm gonna go obviously spiritual with that.
yeah, that's what I want you to do.
Yeah, I feel like in your darkest times, even though they feel like absolute ass and you're probably grieving and your heart feels like it's shattering to pieces, what's actually happening is you're learning how to love more in
Mm-hmm.
those dark times. And also, like, anytime you're experiencing darkness in your life, it's just an opportunity for you to love yourself deeper, for you to love yourself even in the darkness. So it's like, oh, I'm experiencing whatever the case may be, chaos or getting arrested. Can
Good,
I
good times.
can I
Yeah.
still love myself for that? Can I forgive myself? Can I
Mhm.
still be absolutely in love with myself through this dark period of time and knowing that love is going to be the answer that gets me to the other side?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take.
Cleon, I know you're not as like crazy as us with that, but what is love
I
in
feel
the
like
dark
Cleon's
mean?
got something there. He's just a little busy right now, but
Yeah.
it's inevitable for him. I could feel it.
Love in the dark. So let me ask you this: is there a comma in this anywhere? Is it love comma in the dark? Is
It's
it just
however you want to
It's
perceive it.
whatever you, yeah.
There's no wrong answers. It's just the name of the song, to be
it's
honest.
just the name of the song? Well, I mean, because there's a few different directions you can go with it, which is why I asked. So if we're talking about love in the dark, basically talking about whatever the things that maybe you love internally, maybe that you shouldn't, that you love privately away from other people. So the things that you
Mm-hmm.
hide from the rest of the world,
Mm,
your guilty pleasures or whatever your
mm.
addictions that you have, or the things that you are partaking in that you shouldn't be.
Do you
The
want to share any of
I don't have any.
Ah! He's like, I don't have any of those.
The things that you love in the dark, like I say, whatever is in the dark will come to the light. The
I'll
things that you
share.
keep there intentionally. No,
No, I'll
if you
share
can,
mine. I said
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
share
yeah, right,
mine.
right, right. So that's kind of part of that, or also, yeah, I mean that's one way
Mm-hmm.
that I kind of think about that is with the things that you love that you are trying to hide from everybody else. You're loving it literally in the dark
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
instead of loving it out loud,
I
which
like
maybe
that.
you shouldn't.
Have you listened to that song?
Love in the Dark by
Yeah,
Adele.
yeah,
I probably have. I can't tell you what it sounds like.
yeah. You probably know it because it's like on Instagram and some
You want to sing it
reels
for
and
us,
stuff.
Bryn?
Yeah, that would be
Nah,
great. Could
Come
you?
on, come
it'll
Okay,
be
on.
good.
Show
I
us
had
your
not.
vocals,
We are
man.
not doing
Come
that.
on.
You guys want to see me cry?
hey.
I'm just kidding.
You can do that, yeah.
I'm kidding. Love in the dark. How I like kind of perceive the saying is we. I feel like we are loving in the dark until like it comes to light. And what that means to me is that we don't really know. Like sometimes we think we're in love or we think we love to do something,
Mm,
but we don't.
mm,
Mhm,
And it's because of the things that we distract ourselves with. So if you what I do when I reflect on my past relationships as to why they failed, a lot of it is I talk about this on the other episodes is like it was very lustful
mhm,
and I thought that it turned into love.
mm,
But you come to look back at it, you mentally I was blinded. So I was loving in the dark
mm.
mhm,
because I
mhm.
didn't know any better at the time.
You didn't have the tools.
Yeah.
Didn't have the tools. Well, people give you the tools, but it's up to you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't put the tools in my tool belt, but
There you
Mm.
now
go.
they're in my tool belt because
Now you embodied it.
I went through it
It's
Mhm.
enough
embodiment.
times to kind of yeah. Oh, there we go.
That's what
You want
embodiment is. We're wondering.
that's what I don't like when she says it. So I don't know. It just sounds weird.
What embodiment?
Embodiment. I like to put the tools in the tool belt. It's more manly.
Yeah.
My daddy issues are
Yeah.
showing. All right.
Would you like to communicate about this?
Yeah.
What is your trigger?
Love in the dark. That's my trigger. No. But that's what I feel like love in the dark is. And yeah, what else I want to communicate?
What?
Exactly.
Yeah. What happened?
um
Where'd it go?
and then I wanted your mom's watching, so I don't know if I want to ask this question.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, ask her.
It's okay.
She's gonna listen to the beginning of the episode anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever it is, let's go.
Yeah, sorry. Well, this is the real deal. And
We love you.
if it's in my head,
We
I
love
think I
you,
want to
mom.
ask
We
it.
love you, mom.
Love in the dark. What's the darkest place you've had sex? Or the craziest?
Oh my gosh. Wait, the darkest place? Oh my god.
Well, it's love in the dark. I wanted to ask a question.
Okay. Yeah, you're
Or the
wild.
craziest?
The craziest?
Costa Rica?
Mm.
It wasn't that crazy. It was in a truck.
No, Jesus.
That's
Not that crazy
that's
in a
not that.
truck.
Yeah, that's not that crazy.
Okay.
I mean, the darkest place I've had sex in was in a closet.
Literal darkest.
Well, it was actually at a closet in an Airbnb that was not just an Airbnb with me, with my current partner when we met the first week. It was like
Mm.
in an Airbnb with this other lady that was staying at the Airbnb, and I don't know.
Was that her closet?
No, no, no. It was the closet in the room, but I'm pretty sure she heard everything that was going on. It was pretty
Why
wild.
the closet?
It was the wildest experience of my life. I won't get into the details, but it was pretty wild. So that's what comes up when you ask that.
Did you not
That's a
have a
crazy one.
room?
We did, but
Why not? Okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
we were getting
Okay.
we were getting
You-
we're getting creative.
Getting creative.
It was great.
so wait, you said with your current boyfriend, y'all did that?
Yeah.
Okay, so since I want to go back to the topic of celibacy, because you were like you wanted to save your or not save yourself until marriage, but like be celibate.
Yeah.
When did you decide that? Oh, I don't want to be celibate anymore.
Well, it was funny
Were
because
y'all dating?
no, it was funny because
Lust.
no, 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 no. I knew I was having like yeah, I
But how do you know for sure?
for sure.
For
And then you
sure.
partake in it, and then it clouds it.
Well, if it was
Well, it just confirms what you're already believing because it's so lustful and
yeah,
it feels so good.
yeah, but our relationship is definitely not that. I've had those experiences, but
But how do you know
what happened?
this time?
What happened was I wanted to go visit him. He lived in fucking Delaware.
Hey, I'm from Maryland.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
I was like
Delaware.
Delaware.
We like Maryland.
But it's a really long story. It's a really beautiful story. But I was like, okay, I want to go book an Airbnb over there. Like,
Mhm.
how is this gonna work? Like, how are we going? I'm celibate. I've been celibate for 6 months. I've been wanting to like wait, and I don't want to do that. And he
Mhm.
was like, honestly, like we don't have to. And I was like, it's not you that I'm worried about. It's me that I'm worried about. So that's what I'm trying to talk about here. And he's like, well, in that case, like, I mean, we don't have
Right.
to.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just kind of sat with it, and I was having a lot, like, we had known each other 6 months prior to that and
Mhm.
had communication. And I just sat with myself and I was like, am I ready? Like, am I ready for that?
Mhm.
And I was, and I felt it. And I was like, yeah, I feel like I can trust this man. And if I fuck up and realize that maybe I can't trust him, then I'll learn my lesson, and that's okay. But right now, this feels fine. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
follow that
Mhm.
intuitive nature of like going there. And I was also having a lot of experiences where, like, I mean, this is a whole other topic, but when I meditate, I have like really intense visions, and I can see really wild things and
Mhm.
like just experience like my connection to him. And so prior to meeting him, I was already experiencing like deep connection on like a soul level before
Mhm.
even meeting in person. So I already knew that I can like trust him in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just like fantasy. There was a lot that
Right.
was like a lot that plays into it, a lot of details that I won't get into because it's a long ass story.
Mhm.
But the first night that because I went over there and he took me out and he took me to a show at night, and we like had so much fun and we talked, and it was like we were vibing. Like as soon as I saw him, I was like, holy shit, I've never felt so at home with anyone in my
Mhm.
life. And I was like kind of freaky because I was like, what if
Mm-hmm.
this is just like fantasy, like blah blah blah. It was a lot to get used to in the beginning of like how at home I felt with him, and like how people always talk about when you know. It was like
Well, it's yeah,
it's like
guys.
when you know.
Some guys can create that environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was still mindful of all of that. But like the first night we like vibed and connected, and we went back home and slept together, and he didn't try anything with me that first night at
Mhm.
all. And I was actually really upset. I was like
That's exact. Okay.
I was like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
actually upset. I was like, I'm ready. Like, what's going
Mhm.
on? I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, also, I like you, but I need to know if this part is good because that's
So
big.
that part is important.
Yeah, I feel like that part is important to me.
I feel like that's the Cuban talking.
No, I mean that's the being connected to my sexuality
No,
talking.
I understand. I think
I don't think sex is a bad thing. I just think it can be really wrapped up into fucked up fuck uppery. I wouldn't just give myself to a man that I didn't feel like
of
was
course.
connected
Yeah,
Right.
to
yeah, no,
Of
I'm
himself,
not
course.
saying that. I just think I don't know. We live in a day and age that's so like sex has got to be good or like the relationship isn't. But I don't personally think that. I don't think. I mean, you need sex, But
It has to
this
be, it could be worked on for sure.
you
It doesn't have to be a
it can be.
non-negotiable. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be something that's like, oh my God, if this sucks, like if it would have sucked, wouldn't have just been like, oh no,
Right.
I
But
would have been
also
like, all right, let's work on this.
Mhm.
I'm thinking as the guy,
Yeah.
and like I could teach a woman what I need.
Yeah.
But as a male, I don't need a girl that's going to be great at sex because I've already had that. And it didn't. She's not here. Well, she's here, but she's not with me anymore. You know what I'm saying?
She's not in this room.
She's not with me anymore.
Mhm.
So
I love that we're going into this. This is great.
that's like I'd rather have a woman that's going to help me build and that's going to
Mm,
keep me motivated
inspire you.
and that's going to know how I operate as a human, like know when I'm lazy, know when I need a kick in the ass, like know how I operate because sometimes my emotional battery gets drained and I don't want you to talk to nobody, not even like if I'm dating somebody, like I need
Your own space.
my space from you as well.
Yeah.
So I need somebody that's going to know all that part of me more than just know how I'm going to rock her world for 2 minutes in the bedroom.
For 2 minutes.
It's a joke. Oh my god.
That was funny. That was
All
funny.
right, come on. You're short. You got to be a little funny. But
It's true.
I think it's important, but it's not that important because at least from a male perspective, and you can ask a lot of people, they go, "Oh, that's most important. That's most important." But it's like, what are your goals? What are your ambitions in
Yeah.
life? If you think that sex is more important than those kind of things, like I want to know if I have a child with you, like what are you going to be teaching them? How are you going to raise that
Yeah.
kid? Or if I'm down in the slums, I have no money, what's our life going to look like then? If something happens and I lose it all or whatever, like how are you going to help me rebuild it? Not that that's your job, but
Yeah, like
I'm going to
be
need the
the
emotional
inspiration.
support and the
Absolutely.
inspiration
Yeah.
moreover of like how well we can do this.
Yeah. Well, and that's always something that I feel like I was talking about earlier, like your sexual experiences are just an opportunity for you to be more intimate together. And that's something that you get to communicate on. What does that look like for your
Mm-hmm.
relationship? It doesn't have to be this performative thing
Mhm.
that's where the pornography thing fucks it up,
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
have to be this performative thing. Like your sexual experience can be whatever it needs to
And
be
some people
to
like
create
other things
deeper
different. Yeah.
intimacy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm a lover boy, so everything for me is like I slow it down and all that. But some people like the
The kinky
crazy,
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's just not. They're like slap me, spit on me, yell at me. I'm like, hey, I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm a lover boy. That go find the weird. I don't do that. I'm not going to abuse you.
I could never
I
call you
wonder
those
why they want to
names.
be abused. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I'm like, no, 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 we can't do that. So it's like,
Brandon would stop and say, "Can we just unpack that for a
Yeah,
second? Why you
no,
feel
nah.
like
In the moment, I'm just going to ignore it and do my thing. And
That's-
you're still gonna enjoy it or you're gonna fake it. So
I'm
either
excited.
way.
I'm excited for you to like attract that in your life, because I feel like it's inevitable for you to attract that with like where you're headed and what you're doing
Yeah.
and like how much you've grown. I'm excited to
It's
see
been
how
a
that
lot.
happens.
It's been a lot of growing. Thank God for growth.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Thank God
awesome.
for growth. Well, at least we asked the question. Sorry, Mama Deal. It's the real deal. It's the real
she
deal.
did say to ask it.
It's a
We
real
just got
deal.
we just got a question here on the live.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, we gotta have. Is he gonna answer? Or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna read it out, and I like this because this kind of relates. What happens if your partner chooses to become celibate during the course of your relationship? I think that's something that personally has to be done at the beginning. Reason being is you can't give them something and then take it away because then their mind's going to wander, and you don't want their mind to wander. But I also will say that I use my sexual abilities to
Abilities.
sexual abilities to when I had that soul sex with the girl that I ended up dating, um to get her to date me,
Mm.
and I did that because I knew that she was a very sexual person, and I did that be by having a lot of sex with her in a shorter period of time. But then we started dating, and she wasn't getting it 7 times a week. I'm a I only need it 1 time a week. Like I 1 2 times a week. I'm chilling. I'm working. So it went from 7 to 2, and then that caused issues in the relationship.
Mhm.
So those are my thoughts on it as well. Cleon, what's your? I need you to answer
Wait,
this one.
did he answer the sex in the dark?
Yeah, he answered that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh no
yeah.
no no no! Only you answered that one.
yeah.
No one else gets that question.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
Oh
okay.
God. Yeah. No.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
Absolutely
okay.
not.
So you got the question. What happens if your partner chooses to become celibate during the course of your relationship?
This is interesting. I guess what happens depends on whatever the discussion is. I think, obviously, as we talk about a lot, healthy communication in your relationship is key. So obviously, whenever you start a relationship, like you said, Brandon, with something, and then you
Mm-hmm.
want to then take that thing away,
Mm,
obviously, there's going to be a few rough patches during that. So I think that the communication definitely has to be there about why this is something that you want to do, and obviously if your partner is your partner and obviously you guys have the same goals, because typically if they're going to be doing something like that, is because I have something that I want to look forward in the future, and I want to make sure that we can connect, and even without this,
mm-hmm.
to make sure that this is going to work, make sure the other aspects of our relationship make sense, because like you said, sex can cloud a
Yeah,
relationship, and
absolutely.
so it'll make you overlook the other issues that are actually there. So once you take that off the table, now all the other issues are there and amplified, and you get to figure out what you really do need to be there and deal with.
So if your girlfriend had a lot of sex with you at the
Mhm.
beginning of a relationship,
Yeah,
and then she all of a sudden wants to stop having sex with you,
yeah.
what are you gonna think?
What am I going? I'm going to ask why. That's what I do with
He
anything.
does. He does ask why.
Everything. I'm going to say. So why do you feel like this is something that you should do? Something that we should do?
Yeah,
What's the reasoning behind that? Because I'm
yeah.
somebody who I gotta understand. Just like with most things in my everyday life, I gotta understand.
Mhm.
And if that is somebody that I do plan on having a long and prosperous future with, I mean, it's just sex. It'll be back. You know what I'm
It'll be
saying?
back.
So
Yeah, something to
so
look forward to.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Until it's not,
Uh,
because we get older and then we gotta
well,
get.
yeah, it's for a period of your life, but obviously, stay healthy, gentlemen.
Get lots of sunlight
Yeah,
and
you need that.
fluoride-free
You
toothpaste.
gotta answer the question.
What was the question?
Yeah, there
You,
we
you're
go.
just
And you
like I
gotta ask
ask
it
it
one more
every
time.
time. I ask it every time. What happens if your partner chooses to become celibate during the
Mm.
course of your relationship?
Was that by a man or a woman?
Woman.
Woman asked that.
Yeah.
We only women watch our show. No, I'm just kidding. But typically,
A woman asked that. Oh, I'm curious. I'm
women.
like, I want to know more about you. Why are you asking? I'm kind of the same, but
Nah, you gotta answer. You can't ask
so
the audience.
so yeah, I feel like also understanding the intention behind it, right? Like, what is the intention? Why are you wanting to do that? And does it align with your partner also to do that? And, I feel like it's just being able to honor just your full self, right? Your sovereign self, which is just you honoring who you are in that moment. And if that's something that you know for sure you're doing because it's
Mhm.
intuitive and it's like something that's going to support you, then do it. But if it's also like asking yourself the deeper question of like, why do I want to do that? Like, do I feel shame in some ways sexually? Do I feel disconnected from my partner? Do I feel like maybe somebody else is programming me to think that this is something that I need to do? Is this actually true for me? Asking yourself those questions first, like if they are the person that is wanting to be celibate. Does that answer it? Or am I think
No,
I'm
no, no. I'm
No,
listening.
yeah, we're with
But
you.
I also want to ask, how much sex do you and Oliver have in a week?
Is he on? I told him to get on. I don't know.
Nah,
No,
nah,
I don't
nah.
think so.
No, I told him to get on.
Uh,
A lot. I mean,
okay,
it depends on my cycle because as women we go through 4 different
correct.
cycles in the season
Mhm.
in a month, right? So
Correct.
like there's weeks where a lot, then there's other weeks where it's like, okay, we can possibly be having like I'm very fertile right now, so
Mhm.
probably shouldn't.
So okay.
Um,
So if tomorrow he says, we should practice celibacy and not have sex anymore, what are you gonna think?
he would totally never say.
No, 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 no. Okay, but he did say it.
But if he said it,
What
then
do you think?
and that's a great way of putting it. I probably would also ask like, okay, what is the intention behind
Mhm.
this? Like, why are you wanting to do this? And if it's something that I can get behind, then I would honor that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It just I need to know why also
Yeah.
to then be like, okay, I can understand you and I can hold that space for you. Um and also like I went 6 months without it.
So you could do it, yeah.
So I could do it.
I think it's it's difficult. And Mama dear, I appreciate you. Love you.
How do we get the live link?
Oh, I can actually put it on there to be honest.
The live link?
I can
Yeah,
show the
it's in the
things on
story,
there.
right?
I can show them on there.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Another
on your
question.
story?
Huh?
It's on your story?
What's the
I,
live link?
Yeah.
Well, if you go to the Real Deal Combos and then you go to the links, you go to the YouTube.
I did and it wasn't working.
Well, you actually have to go to the YouTube and then the link,
oh
the
yeah, you can just
lives
go
on
to the
there.
YouTube page.
Yeah, you just go to the YouTube.
That's what I did, but I don't see it on the phone. Maybe it
Yeah.
doesn't show on the phone.
Did you go?
It should. It
You can
should.
edit this part, right?
On the yeah, I mean it's fine. On the you're on the YouTube page
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can only see it on the computer.
because I have it up on my iPad right
On
now.
your iPad.
Yeah.
You're on
It's-
Instagram still.
okay,
So
so that's the
open
problem.
an external browser.
Oh.
so that's there we go.
Ba-dum, ba-dum-bum.
I think I have that actually. There we go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can you make like a point of where you need to edit?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not editing anything. We just let it run. It's
yeah,
the
I
real
will-
Says the guy that doesn't edit it.
yeah,
It's the
right.
real
I will
deal.
make sure what needs to be cut out gets cut. No problem. Are you
No, you make a good question. A valid question.
are you not on the
I was asking.
No, you look see if you can find it.
okay?
Yeah, I
But
was
I'll
telling
let you
Oliver to
guys
get
do that.
on.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's something to figure out to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, next question is
So we have people asking questions. This is cool.
yeah, yeah. Uh, what do you think a healthy frequency for having sex in a relationship?
Here we go.
Oh, like how, the amount of times?
Yeah, this is a good one because I feel like women are always going to say more than men.
Really?
So
I don't know,
so,
in my personal opinion. I always
Maybe
have.
maybe just your reality. Did you do it?
yeah.
Well, that's
So
why I feel like it's important to how where did you find it so you
so
can let our
yeah.
followers know where they can go, our
So
listeners.
when
They have to go to the app.
so no, so you're there. So we're on YouTube. So hit the back button. So where you were at before.
Uh-huh.
So if you click on the logo, the Real Deal Podcast logo, it takes you to the live.
Oh, wow. Oh no, this is taking me to somebody else's. It's taking me to
Oh,
podcast and chill.
Oh, that one of our episodes. So you have to click on the actual logo. So
Click on
just
the
the logo.
actual
So not the
logo.
episode, the video.
He just had it up for you. That actual.
Oh, the live
See
chat.
that?
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
there you go, right there.
Sorry, it'll just be my face
Yeah.
for now. I know how to.
There we go.
can
Oh yeah,
figure
yeah,
it.
yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, what do you think a healthy frequency for having sex in a relationship? I really just think it depends on the week.
Depends on
It depends. I think you're trying to say that it depends on how busy your week is.
Yeah, I don't know. I did have a lot of problems with this in the last relationship because we started with it. Actually, the last two we started with a lot, and then I'm just like, yeah, I just don't need to do it as often anymore for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And that obviously, if you go from doing it often to doing it less often, that raises concern in your
Yeah.
lady.
I feel like it's normal also in the beginning to be like bunny rabbits, like, oh my god, this is so
Yeah.
awesome, right? And
It
then it
is,
kind of
which
like slows down over time. But
is why it's so important to not have sex in the beginning. Because
I
then
see
you're
your-
just
I see your
creating the
perspective.
relationship off of sex. And that's not what you need to get to know them
yeah,
as the individual, not know them or think that you know them or feel at home or feel safe with them. You actually have to literally know this person. And how long does it take to actually know this person? Typically 3 years. I'm not saying to wait 3 years.
I went 3 years. I couldn't even wait
I'm
a
not
day.
saying to wait 3 years, but I also had this conversation with another lady. She responded to like one of the shorts that I had posted and talking about like, oh yeah, like most guys aren't this like emotionally intelligent and they just want to have sex. And it's like, well, why are you giving them that? Oh yeah, you're right. I was like, okay, so how long are you waiting?
Yeah,
Oh, you're not waiting.
yeah.
Oh, you like the person and you do it. No, that's not how it works. Because now you're having sex with them and you're just thinking with the wrong you think with your head or you think with your heart and not logically.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're still going to make decisions based on our emotions and less logic, but it's a lot. There's literally no logic once you start to incorporate the sex early, because now you're just thinking like, oh, this makes me feel good. I want more of it. So I literally told her, I'm like, why don't you try waiting? Oh yeah, maybe we should do that. I was like, 6 months. I can't do that. Well, we shoot for six, aim for three, whatever it may be. At least do
Starts just start somewhere.
you. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again and expecting a different result.
Mhm.
So if it's not working with what you're currently doing, maybe
Yeah.
you need to switch the
Maybe
game
you need
plan
to
up.
wait a little bit. Yeah, I see that.
And then she told me, yeah, I actually was talking to this guy who said he wanted to wait till he was married. And I literally told him to grow up, we're adults. And I was like, that was the one. That was your guy.
She's first of all, she's crazy.
Well, I understand the logic because
Jeez.
where I was mentally two
I mean,
years
why would you
ago,
say that to a man though? That's sad.
Grow up,
I
we're
wouldn't.
adults is
Yeah.
crazy as a response.
Yeah.
it is, but like we live in a generation of people who always want to test drive the car before they purchase it. So that's what it is. But Cleon, what do you think a healthy frequency of having sex in a relationship is? This might be your question, to be honest.
I don't think any of these are my questions, but yeah, no,
This
let's.
is like
Yeah.
this might be
I
this might be a
mean,
question like for you.
really, I mean, well, I don't know
Can
why.
you see? Can you see if I put it on the stream?
Uh,
Can you see the question?
yeah. What do you mean? Can I see the
Like
question?
on the actual video?
No, I see it in the chat.
Yeah, because I put it on there. Oh, okay, you only see it in the chat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really.
Sorry. I was reading the questions from the YouTube.
I mean, this this question solely depends on you and your partner. I mean, what it is.
Yeah.
So
Like that.
whatever it is, not necessarily your agreement, but I think that let's talk about like in right now in terms of dating. Obviously, it just really depends on obviously you guys. How frequently are you guys seeing each other? Number one, because that's also going to, if you're only seeing each other
Yeah.
once a week, that creates the opportunity for sex once a week. But as far as what's healthy and what's not, it just really depends on you two. I think that this makes me think of I was watching Shark Tank, funny enough. And one of the ideas on the proposal was that they put this little light on the nightstand for when your partner wants sex. So basically, they put the thing and it lights up if they're in the mood for it. And then basically their partner is to see that, so that because people have trouble
Mhm.
communicating when they, hey, I'm in the mood to do this,
That
but I
makes me
don't know if
sad.
you knew. Yeah. And so Mark Cuban shut it down. He was like, this creates takes away the opportunity for
Yeah.
healthy communication
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
your relationship.
Yeah.
So I think what's healthy is that however much you guys communicate that you guys want to do it, as long as you both want to do it at every single time.
Yeah, Mama Dio got a great question. I'm
Oh,
gonna answer that in just a second.
oh Lord.
No, I love this question. I think it's great, especially for our generation. So
Especially with the last episode that we just did.
literally, no, I think it's a great question. All right, Joanna, what do you think a healthy frequency for having sex in a relationship is?
I can agree with what he just said about like just having that healthy communication with your partner, and also just like can both parties honor their sensations and be like, hey, I'm in the mood, like, how are you feeling, or just
Hmm.
like see how it goes. But like for instance, for me, sometimes like I'm not going to be in the mood if I am in a certain week of my month,
Hmm.
leading up to my cycle. Like, I'm not going to be in the mood. And so, if he's like coming on to me, I'm just going to communicate because I can have that healthy communication. And he's
Hmm.
not going to take it personal or be like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? He's going to be like, yeah, I get it. I mean, it's just your cycle. And that's why I believe
Hmm.
that like men should understand a woman's cycles to also understand when women want to be more in
Hmm.
that experience and when they don't. So, that's my
Hmm.
answer.
All right. This is a good question.
I saw
So,
it.
point of clarity. As men and women who love God, who are now more spiritually mature, why are you not waiting until marriage as He commands? Yeah, Clem, why are you not waiting until marriage?
Uh,
No, I'm just kidding. I'll go first.
yeah,
I
you
feel
take.
like I feel like this is a great question, especially for this generation.
I'm so
This-
excited to answer this.
Literally, this generation. Um, my first relationship, said I was going to wait until I was married.
Hmm.
And then it's like, anytime you sin and then you continue to sin, it's easier and easier to continue to sin.
Correct.
So it's based on that ideology of me being in my first relationship, trying to wait until I was married
Hmm.
and we ended up not because of, well, just ask your mom. Because I don't know, I thought I was in love. You know, I was in love. That was my first
Yeah.
love, and I'm like, hey, if this is really what you want to do, then sure, we'll do it.
Hmm.
And that happened, and the relationship ended. Very terrible way to end my very first relationship. So at that point, I felt like I had already did it. So there was nothing. It was, you sinned once. You
Hmm.
already sinned. So it's
Yeah.
not as bad to sin again.
That's what you tell yourself.
That's what you tell yourself.
Right.
And then the sin just becomes a thing.
Hmm.
And when you grow up with, you know, poor and
Hmm.
just a mother who doesn't really know what she's doing, you know what I'm saying? She didn't grow up in the church. You don't grow up with a father. You don't really have the guidance and the direction to where to go. You just knew that was what you were supposed to do, but I didn't.
Right.
So I can't not like I can't take it back. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? After I lost my virginity to the first girl that I was with, like it was already done.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like I could take it back. And I feel like that's like how the generation lives is like if you don't grow up that way, or even if you do grow up that way,
Right.
you can either accept or reject it. Just like we always talk about, you accept or reject the things that you see. So that is my opinion on it.
Hmm.
Because once you sin once, it's a lot easier to sin a
Hmm.
second time.
So because
I
you've
forget the
already done it, you just find yourself falling into it
yeah,
after
yeah,
that.
yeah. You
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
you don't see it as a sin anymore. I forget
Right.
the biblical term for that. There is a biblical term for it though. It's like once you sin, it's like easier to
Hmm.
continuously
Hmm.
do it over and over again. And I think that that's what happened in my life, and I
Hmm.
think that that's what happens in so many other people's life to where they see that it's not that big of a deal anymore.
Hmm.
And that's what I saw.
Right.
And then I started doing it, and then I got into relationships because of it. And then it's like,
Hmm.
oh man, okay, a little self-reflection as you mature and get older is like, hey, this is what I'm doing incorrectly.
Hmm.
So that's just my 2 cents on it. And now I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna wait till I'm married, but I'm gonna try and wait as long as possible.
Hmm.
I'm definitely not gonna have sex with anybody that I don't see myself marrying at this point.
Hmm.
Is that still a sin? Yeah, you know,
Hmm.
it is. This is the real deal. I'm gonna be real, but it's a lot better than where I came from,
Right.
and we're not at that crossroads yet. As
Hmm.
soon as that crossroads happen, we'll come to terms with it. But that's just my opinion on it.
Hmm.
But I love that question. All right,
Hmm.
Mr. Real Deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we put you on the
So,
spot. You know.
question. So, as men and women who love God and who are now more spiritually mature, why are you not waiting until marriage as He commands? So, this is what I'll say. Right now, with the way that the culture is built, um, it's not built for waiting until marriage in terms of how we meet and interact with people. So it makes it a lot more difficult. A lot of people right now who are dating are meeting each other on dating apps, or they're meeting each other out somewhere in the street somewhere. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like the old days where you see some girl at a coffee shop and you say, "Hey, I noticed you reading your book and I think you're beautiful.
Yep.
Here's my phone. Can I have your phone number? I'd like to call you, take you out sometime," and go through that process of courting and dating and things of that nature. Right now, the culture is we meet, we have sex, and then decide if we like
Mm,
each other enough after that
mm,
to continue.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it difficult because of how I think we're meeting each other initially.
mm,
And so, because obviously, if you meet each other on Tinder, the notion is that we're meeting to do this thing,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever those the other ones as well. That's what the notion is. So everybody is kind of in that same mindset. I think that depending, let's say, on how you meet somebody, like we always talk about, how you start the relationship is super super important. So wherever you do start, I think it is certainly possible to do that, but the environment that you meet that person in, I think, creates a precedence for how it's going to continue afterwards. I think it would be great if everybody waited. I'm not going to say it's easy for everybody to wait.
Definitely not.
It's certainly a difficult thing, but also obviously, if you, like we talked about on the last episode, the the way to make it a little bit easier is to not put yourself in positions where
Mm-hmm.
sex can happen. If you are looking to wait, just for anybody who is looking to do that, just don't put yourself in those positions for it to happen. But
That
um,
is good. But let's say you're dating this person for 3 years,
Hmm.
and then you got, well, actually, you shouldn't move in with the person until you're married, but you're gonna have sleepovers after 3 years. You're technically, but you're not married to them.
Got to sleep in separate rooms. You got
Ooh,
it. You guys,
you better, hey, sleep with that chastity belt on. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
something. Yeah, and that's the thing, because like obviously, especially like you said, that those late nights to early mornings, you sleeping next to somebody because you attracted to. If you're dating them, you're attracted to them,
Mhm.
and you know what I'm saying. Your body's going to be attracted to that person. So if you're in an environment where those attractions, can mix a little bit, they will mix where they can.
They will.
So you got to do your best to just keep yourself from those situations. But yeah, that's why they're not waiting, because the culture right now in terms of how we're meeting people just doesn't warrant for it. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of what the problem is. But we're working on it, Mama. I promise. So Joanna, I would love to hear you on this.
What's your 2 cents?
Whew. So it's actually, yeah, I'm feeling like activated with this question because,
Activate.
It is an activating question. Nah,
well,
it's a real question
well, it's
because.
because I have different beliefs. Like
Mhm.
I believe that I don't believe that sex is something that is a
Mhm.
sin.
Mhm.
It depends the intention that you're using sex with.
Mhm.
I believe that we have those sexual desires for a reason, and if we can just honor those sexual desires and understand them and actually understand what sex is,
Mhm.
that our culture would be very different and people wouldn't just be having random sex for no reason.
Right.
I just say that based on also my own experience of like when I was having random sex versus when I chose to wait.
Mhm.
When I was having random sex, it was because I was just seeking for something that I thought I didn't have within. To me, God exists within me and all around me. And
Mhm.
I feel like that's also what embodiment is being able to understand that God living intelligence that lives within me and how that wants to move through my body.
Mhm.
And so if I can have the understanding of what is ego, what is like my conditioning, and what is searching for external validation, and versus what is actually bringing me closer to a person to have a sexual experience that I believe sex can bring us closer to God. That's just my experience and
Mhm.
like what I believe in. Then there's a difference between those two. And that's where people need to understand themselves deeper because,
Mhm.
yes, there is those deep desires for us to have sex. And those are for a reason because
Mhm.
sex is beautiful and sex is shouldn't be shamed. And I believe that like,
Well, the Bible does say that sex is beautiful when you are in covenant
but when
of
was the Bible
marriage.
written?
And well,
When was the Bible written?
I don't
You
even
know what
know
I mean?
because
Like,
I
what did
was
they, what did, but
I
this is what I'm saying.
wasn't born.
What did they mean by marriage back then? What if Jesus, what met marriage back then is not what it is now? What if it's just, that you're meant to be this with this person? I feel
Mhm.
like marriage back then looked very different than marriage now. So there's
Marriage
truth.
in
There's
literally the 80s looked
like,
way different than it is
well,
now.
but it's like,
People are getting married just to
oh,
get married, not
but
because they're in
but
love.
just like a paper and like selling my relationship to the government means that I can now have sex with this person. No, there has to be deep intention beneath that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I personally just don't live
Right.
my life based on what external things are
No,
telling
no, I
me.
like that.
You
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what I mean? I live my life based on like what my connection to God is, and my connection to God
Hmm.
does not exist externally or through a book that's been like
What's important is
moved and
building your
maneuvered so
relationship with
much.
God. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one thing. I'm gonna come as you are.
an internal relationship with God.
Yeah,
That's important.
because we
And
had
that
that conversation last week. The difference between religion and relationship.
yeah, yeah, it's huge. And it's like
Hmm.
we're so externally focused that we don't even give ourselves the opportunity to meet God within and like what that means. Not saying I am God, but
Right.
there
Yeah, yeah.
is the living intelligence of God existing in me.
Getting stuck in the religion instead of the
The
relationship,
relationship,
and the
which guess
relationship is
what?
more important.
Goes back to we need to take space because if not, then I'm going to be externally focused because I'm so
Hmm.
externally focused and I'm going to read the book. I'm going to ask this
Mhm.
person about it. I'm going to be that person about it. And it's like, okay, well, how does God speaking to me through
Hmm.
me? So it's very different for me. And I believe sex to me is something that can allow you and your partner to meet God even like more, like to
Mhm.
actually experience the presence of God in your body together. That is what sacred union means to me. And so, yeah, that's my take on like the marriage thing.
No, I like that. Good
Okay.
answer.
Yeah.
It's a
Especially.
different perspective, and I know it could be
Yeah.
triggering for people. So like, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Like
It
it's
is,
not for
but
everybody.
I
right.
appreciate it.
This is also the real deal. It's not. It's not like everybody has opinions and beliefs,
Yeah,
and I feel like when it comes to things related to the church, is it's my way or or God's way or the highway. But it's no. It's like there's a difference between religion and relationship, and
yeah,
I think that if you give the individual the opportunity to explore that, they're going to be more godlike in their own journey,
Absolutely.
and
Yes.
spread their own testimony and their own gospel. And isn't that what it's all about
Yeah.
anyways?
Yes. I feel like that's what
It's not
Jesus
about read it and follow everything. It's about read it, understand it,
embody it,
and there we go, embody it,
embody the
and
teachings.
create that relationship with God, so that way you can share with other people.
Yeah.
Your own testimony of celibacy conversation trickled into my life when I was like, nah, I don't think I will do that. But now it's like, oh, hey, here we are.
I'm so happy.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, use that as a testimony. But that's also my thoughts on it is because also like how we're raised in the kind of figures that are in our life. And if you don't see it, you don't know it. If you have your high school sweetheart leave you for your best friend after you do that, you know what I'm saying? You're going to go down a different path than somebody who
It's tough.
abstain,
Yeah.
and stayed away. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I also feel like the way that somebody can be sexually expressed and can like connect sexually says a lot about their connection to themselves and their connection to God.
Mhm,
Like if you're free in your expression of that, and that doesn't mean go around give it to everybody, but if
mhm,
you are in an intimate setting, you allow yourself to be your most raw, vulnerable expression in that intimate setting with another person,
mhm,
that just goes to show a lot of your deep connection to God, because God is love. God is freedom. God is just absolute expression without giving a F about what
mhm.
anyone is thinking.
Mhm.
Like
you already
that's
you already cussed once. You can cuss
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
she cussed a bunch of times.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
we don't have a
Yeah.
swear.
Wait, did I really?
We don't. I
Yes.
mean, at the end of the day, like we
Whoops.
don't. We're
It's all
not
good.
changing who you are
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
be
That's
who
so
you are.
funny. I didn't even notice. Wow. I have a
It's just
trash
natural.
mouth.
Well, it's a thing you don't notice until you start to notice. Just like anything else, right? You don't notice it until you
It's
start to
just like
notice
how
it.
I live my daily life.
It's
This is how I
just
talk.
it's just like loving in the dark. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I also
Let me
like
tie it back.
don't care because it's my expression, and so if people don't like it, I'm like, damn, I'm not in the right room. But I also want to like, if it
Mhm.
is a rule in this
It's not a.
setting, if
It's
I'm
not a rule.
invited somewhere,
I
then
know,
I want to
yeah.
be in integrity with that. But in my regular life, I'm like,
When you were
I don't care.
Brandon's life coach, did you cuss him out?
I was his fitness coach. I wasn't his life
Fitness.
His
coach.
fitness coach.
Fitness. You think I was thinking like? No.
Yeah.
It's a,
He asked for an embodiment session, so don't let him fool you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He
Ah.
got
Hey.
he got that convenient amnesia.
No, I'm always intrigued in learning, and the other, what you said, tantra, the other lady,
Yeah, get a book.
the other lady that does tantra was very
Uh,
influential in my life.
But how does she do tantra?
I don't know. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. But
Oh,
she led me to read the book, The Untethered Soul, and that
Great book.
helped go through like my spirit, start the spiritual side of things, and really start to learn how to sit and connect with myself. And it's not pretty, it's not perfect, but you get better at it year after year. And um, usually after something bad happens to you, it's a great time to sit and analyze and
reflect.
reflect
Yeah.
on those kind of things to figure out what you did right, what you did wrong, what you can do better, and what you can learn from it,
Yeah.
and move on with
And
your
if you
life
don't
from
have
there.
if you don't have time to reflect in your
Mhm.
busy life, go to a retreat. It'll change
Yeah,
your life.
yeah. Just being in fellowship with other people.
Yep.
Yeah, retreats I think are great, and we're going to start one. We're going to do one, and
Yeah.
Joanna's going to give us some tips after the show. But to wrap things up, we didn't do a deal of the day.
We did not do
What
well.
is the
That mainly because
deal of the
we
day?
didn't decide on a topic. So
We
He called it love in the dark.
love in the
yeah,
dark.
we got to that in the middle of the
Well,
episode.
we were also trying to figure out how to go live, to be
Yeah,
honest. So,
that was kind of did a
what
lot of
is to wrap things up here? We'll call the deal of the day your final thoughts.
that. Yeah.
What is the deal of the day, and the final thoughts from you?
So, first of all, Joanna, thank you for being here with us.
Yes,
We
thank you for
certainly
having me.
appreciate you.
Thank
This
you.
is amazing.
So for you, because I obviously because everything we talked about kind of does intertwine with what you do on a daily basis. When we talk about embodiment, right? We want to talk about obviously for us, we talk a lot about personal growth, how to get better, all that other mumbo jumbo. But for you, if you can help us out, when it comes to embodiment and basically your self improvement, what do you feel like, just kind of for the people, is the most important portion of it? I know you talk a lot about a lot of things, but what do you feel like is, if someone was going to start today getting into really wanting to embody their best self, where would you tell them to start?
I would tell them to start, women or men or both.
Let's go both.
Okay, okay. Well, we're gonna do women first.
Okay.
Women,
Ladies first, absolutely.
yeah, get into your bodies,
Hmm.
which means take some time in quiet, light some incense, get a mirror, look at yourself in the freaking mirror, look at how freaking amazing you are. You're probably gonna be triggered and see all the parts of you that you don't accept, and close your eyes after you do that. Breathe into your body, put a song on, and start moving your body. Movement is the medicine of the soul. You can drop into your heart, you can drop into your womb. We need more women connected to their wombs. That is the center of our feminine energy. We need to be connected to our wombs. Like,
Hmm.
we bring souls from the spiritual realm to the human realm
We love
through
women. Women are
through
great.
our womb space. We are so wise. We are so connected
Women
to
created all
something,
of us.
to
It's
something
amazing.
beyond. Yeah, exactly. Women created all of us. We were so connected to something beyond just this physical realm. Women are really deeply connected to the energy realms, and if
Hmm.
they can drop into their bodies, they're going to uncover so much wisdom and magic and understanding of themselves that it's just, it's fucking, I wish I had words to describe it. Sometimes I don't, because
Hmm.
it's so epic, and I'm still trying to find the words to describe how epic
Hmm.
it is. So
Mhm.
that's for women. For men, meditate, fast. Men do really well when they're fasting, when they're meditating, when they just take space and time to just be with themselves. And if you have trouble with that, find someone to support you. Find a safe space for you to be supported through the skill that it's a skill. It takes skill. You have to invest money, time, and energy
Hmm.
into being able to like be in a container where somebody is holding you and teaching you and holding you accountable to take space, because in our world we're all so focused on going, doing, and we don't have a healthy safe space to go to just like ground down and
Hmm.
meditate and be with ourselves. And that's why I do what I do. I am that space for people that feel like they can't, right?
Hmm.
And so that's my take on it. Women, get into your bodies. Men, meditate, be in stillness. And if you have trouble doing both because you're just not used to it, find a mentor that can support you in that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's self promo right there. Follow her at
Yeah.
I am Joanna Sanchez on Instagram.
Yeah. Love that.
It's really important. I mean, I couldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't have my mentors that
Hmm.
really helped me during the hardest times
Mentorship
of
is
my life.
important.
Yeah.
Mentorship is important. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
we got to be learning from each other, you know?
Did you answer
Absolutely.
your own question? I was too busy being cameraman. I forgot.
So, so the question that I asked her is that, when it comes to embodiment and embodying your best self, where would she tell somebody to start? So obviously you're not an embodiment coach, but I would love
But
to
I feel
hear
like
it.
he would
Yeah,
know.
I would love to hear it.
The word embodiment. Can you give me the definition again? Because I just feel like that word feels weird.
It's inhabiting yourself.
Toolbox, tools in
It's
the toolbox.
inhabiting yourself. It's literally coming online. It's like, instead of being ran by your limitations, your fears, and your doubts, you are ran by the essence of who you are, your soul, your essence, God, whatever you want to call it.
You gotta sit with yourself. You have to understand what is distracting you from finding your purpose.
Yeah.
Understand that you're not going to find your purpose until you realize what is stopping you.
Mm,
And a
mm,
lot of times we
mm.
get lost in the sauce. Literally, if you're in the
Hmm.
club all the time, you're really lost in the sauce. Like, I've seen it firsthand, happen to myself. I've seen it happen to many other people. You have to realize that that is whatever it is distracting you.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You're
that's
working too
huge.
much. You're sleeping around too much. You're drinking too much. Whatever it may be, figure out what it is and get rid of it.
Hmm.
And once you do that, then you can learn to live in your purpose and figure out what it is you were set here to do. I'm 31 and I still like kind of know what I'm going to do, but I kind of don't. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, it's like I know I'm on the right track with everything that I'm starting, but it's like the beginning stages of it all. So it's like, is it going to work out? Who knows?
Hmm.
I think it will. It's not working right now, but it might. You
Hmm.
know, a year from now, we'll see. We'll see where the other businesses that I'm starting, the nonprofit is. We'll see where those things go.
Yeah.
You know, they might work, they might not. But that's what I think my purpose is right now. It could change in a year or two. But I only started to realize that after I started to eliminate the distractions and meditate every single day.
Yeah,
Insight timer,
that's
guided
huge.
guided meditation,
Please meditate.
guided meditation. Have your um casual conversations with God or whoever
Yes.
else you believe in
Yes.
throughout the day.
Yes.
I feel like that it's not just like a prayer for
Mhm.
me. You can work your way to that, like a lot of people do. For me, it's a lot of conversation and gratitude. It's like I always use this as a reference of if I get a parking space that's up close to wherever I need to be, that first
Mhm.
person I'm thinking is
Heck
God.
yeah.
'Cause
Same here.
you didn't need to do that. You know, when we go to the parking garage and I'm parking on the first floor, hey God, you didn't need to do that. I appreciate you.
Mhm.
I know how busy it is in here, and
Right.
you saved me a spot down here.
Right.
God did. You know what I'm saying? So little things like that, just be super appreciative. And you know, it's always a blessing when you don't look like what you've been
Mhm.
through. And that's all I gotta say. You guys got anything else you want to say?
Wait, he didn't answer.
Oh
Did he
yeah.
not answer?
No, I didn't answer the
Oh my
question.
god. This is what I got distracted because I was being the cameraman and I remember the
Yeah, I
camera
know.
being
I know.
on you.
I know two things at once. I know it's a
And,
lot.
yeah. You know how my brain works.
Yeah, yeah,
Barely.
yeah.
No, it's working on overdrive.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why.
It's just working too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
What's
trying to
happening.
listen and answer and move the camera around.
Yeah.
But next live, I'm gonna have it good. So, Mr. Deal, close this out, my friend.
So yeah, so back to the original question, embodiment, where should somebody start and where should they pinpoint to start becoming the best version of themselves? So for me, two things, purpose and intention. So being intentional with your purpose and being
Mm.
purposeful with your intention,
Mm.
understanding exactly why you're here and what you're looking to do, and everything that you do after that should be basically with an intention to fulfill whatever that purpose is. Being purposeful with your intention, just like we talk about with our relationships, and this can kind of obviously be tied into any other aspect of life, is that we dating to marry essentially. So if I
Mm-hmm.
go and meet somebody, I know my intention is to get married. I'm taking the necessary steps to get there. I'm meeting you with this purpose. This is what my intention is.
Yep.
And I'm going to be intentional and purposeful about every step that I'm taking.
Yes.
And so when it comes to this embodiment, understanding what your purpose is, what are you here to do? We all have things that we're doing, and obviously we're still trying to find ourselves in this crazy life, but finding out exactly what your purpose is, what your passion is, and being intentional towards those things, meditating on it, sitting with it,
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on that, I think is a great starting point for that.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at on
That's good.
We
that. Thank
love that.
Spitting sauce.
you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap things up
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
We appreciate you guys hanging with us on the live and
Yeah, thank you for
Absolutely.
that. That was
us
epic.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to learn, and we'll have a better camera view for the next live. But
Yeah.
I I was uncertain if it was going to be just me,
I
but
assumed it would show all of them, but hey, here
I
we are.
assume too
We
because
learn
they're
with it.
all in there. But we're learning that the live is only one camera view, but nonetheless, we appreciate you guys tuning in, even if it's just one of you every week. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Love you
Thank you.
guys,
Thank you for
and
having me.
thank you,
Ow.
Joanna. You can find her at I am Joanna Sanchez on
Yeah.
Instagram. She does coaching for females,
Retreats. I have an
Retreats.
embodiment academy that is awesome. It's a 13-week
and
school.
yeah, a
Mm.
little academy. And I'll be at the
It ain't
next
little.
retreat.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
A big academy. I'll be at the next retreat that she's doing. All women only. Um,
We're going.
I'm going.
Wait, is it time for you to tell us something that you haven't told anyone?
Uh-oh.
You said you're going to a women's retreat, so like, yeah.
Oh yeah, I identify as whatever I want. No. They
Anyways,
need a
all
male,
right,
they
we're
need
shutting.
a
I'm just kidding.
male's perspective on life,
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah.
gentle male's perspective.
Okay, so then I'll be going.
And I just feel called to go to learn how to run my own, because we're gonna do one for you guys. It's gonna be guys and girls,
Yeah.
the Real Deal Podcast
All right.
retreat. We
Ow,
don't know
ow.
where, but thank you again. Love you guys, and we'll see you next week. So this one,
That was long.